very, very hard on all of us not to know where she's at, not to know what she's going through.
Welcome back to Mona Reads. Today, we're diving into some of the most puzzling, perplexing, and chilling unsolved mysteries. From disappearances that have baffled investigators for years to cases that seem straight out of a thriller. These cases have left families searching for answers and communities in suspense. Join me as we explore the details and hope to shed some light on these enduring enigmas.
19-year-old Adrienne Salinas disappeared from Tempe in 2013. Her remains were found 2 months later in a desert wash in Apache Junction. In the autopsy report, there's no mention of her head or hands. Police won't say if they were found or if they were purposely removed.
Who killed Adrienne Salinas?
On June 14, 2013, Adrienne Salinas attended a birthday party that was held at her residence for a friend. Adrienne was 19 years old and from Tempe, Arizona. On June 15, 2013, in the early mornings, Adrienne left the party and then returned back to the party. She spoke briefly with a roommate and left again around 4 a.m. Later, she left in her car and was involved in a single car incident a short distance from her residence. She then returned back home, changed her clothes, and called a cab. Around 5 a.m., Adrienne texted her boyfriend stating she was going to his house. She then spoke with the cab driver confirming that he was en route to pick her up. Shortly after that, the cab driver arrived and was unable to locate Adrienne or reach her by phone. The cab driver tried multiple times to contact her, but her phone went straight to voicemail. Adrienne was reported missing June 16, 2013 by her father on Father's Day after he was unable to reach her or locate her. After a big storm and flooding of the area on August 6, 2013, Adrienne's remains were found in a desert wash basin in Arizona.
Just not like her. She would have called.
Police say her disappearance and possibly her murder happened somewhere between her apartment and a gas station in Tempe.
People described her as nice, soft-spoken, easy to talk to. Just look at her. How could anything bad happen to a person who is this happy?
Let's dive a little deeper. Now, from what I have found out, Adrienne at some point during the party got into a fight with her boyfriend.
Shani Duggan and Rebecca Flores were her roommates, and Francisco Arteaga, Fran. Fran was complicated. They were boyfriend and girlfriend and everything but the label. Adrienne had a job, but she hadn't been able to work for a while. She'd come down with valley fever, a disease from the Arizona desert that gets into your lungs. She'd been hospitalized for lung surgery and was still recovering.
Adrienne became angry with Fran because he was talking to other women at the party.
40 to 41 people attending. He became interested in other females at the party. Adrienne herself was upset about that, and from there they decided to go back to Fran's residence, which is in Scottsdale.
At some point, she went to her boyfriend's apartment and then she wanted to leave around 3 a.m. and he offered her a ride home. Around 3:30 a.m., Adrienne had a fight with her boyfriend in the car, and then she got out of the car and started to walk home.
Out of the car in the middle of the conversation. She just hopped out without saying anything.
Her roommates told police Adrienne came back to the party but was still upset and didn't want to stay.
Around 3:40 a.m., she returns to her apartment where the party is still going on.
Her roommates told police Adrienne came back to the party but was still upset and didn't want to stay. At some point, she got into her car and drove away.
At 3:44, police dispatch receive a call about Adrienne's car hitting a curb.
We get a call for service from a Starbucks employee who says, hey, there's this car that's just driving erratically, and then it hits the curve at First and Ash, and the tires blew out, and then the driver took off. That was likely Adrienne.
With 2 blown tires, Adrienne kept driving but abandoned her car a few blocks from the apartment. Adrienne's roommates said she came back to the party a 3rd time.
When she got back to the party, she texted her boyfriend, "I'm coming over."
10 minutes later, Adrienne calls for a cab.
Makes contact with a cab company to arrange to meet at the AM/PM, which is at Hardy and University.
The cab driver arrives at the AM/PM, but Adrienne never does.
She says, well,
Get her as soon as you can. She's obviously upset. So he takes off to go get her, but that's a 25-minute drive. He pulls into the gas station, looks around, doesn't see her, calls her, and proceeds to step out in the car and have a smoke.
Now, the cab was to meet her at a nearby gas station, an AM/PM. A video evidence of the cab driver drive-in at the AM/PM, but Adrian never arrived. The cab left without her. Less than 20 minutes after calling the cab, Adrian's phone was unreachable.
We don't get a call until Sunday from her father, Rick, because it's Father's Day, saying, hey, my daughter hasn't reached out to me.
It's just not like her. She would have called. She's not answering her texts. The phone, it still goes to her voicemail.
So the last place we can put her is in her apartment because her clothes are there.
You know, my thoughts are scattered. It's more of physical pain now. The torture, the living hell that I'm going through right now because of not knowing. And then the possibilities of her being in a harmful situation flash through my mind. It's devastating for myself and the family. Yeah, it's just my whole world's turned upside down, and it's a horrifying nightmare that I wake up to every morning, not knowing where my baby girl's at.
Police interviewed the cab driver, Thomas Simon Jr., and his father, the owner of Scottsdale Cab Guide. They also started surveilling Thomas Simon, and they also got his DNA. The boyfriend and the cab driver were cleared as a suspect. There were reports of suspicious activities with the driver, but apparently Tempe police have already covered that aspect and cleared him.
Police went farther with Tom Simon Jr. than anyone else in the case. 2 days after that interview, they did get a warrant for Tom Simon Jr.'s cab, apartment, and DNA. Police searched his cab and found nothing, no trace evidence. There's no new evidence to link him to the case, no DNA recovered from Adrian's remains. Her body hadn't even been found when police were questioning Tom Simon Jr.
News now, a body discovered in Apache Junction. Tempe police are there.
Haven't seen in years. So at that time, the water really went everywhere.
When the water receded, Adrian's body was found 30 miles away.
The way we found Adrian, it was very hard to determine the cause of death. We are waiting for the medical exam.
The investigation continues for months. Police search the neighborhood and find no trace.
Till this day, there are no new suspects or any arrests made. Police still have no idea who unalived Adrian Salinas. Such a sad case, and wish and hope that one day her case will be solved to give her family some peace.
I dropped the phone and I just screamed, why? She didn't deserve it. She was an amazing, beautiful, loving, giving person. And I don't know what monster would just throw her out there.
If somebody did see something, somebody knows something, just please come forward with any information so they can just put the pieces together.
Joshua Woodruff was a 28-year-old living in Los Angeles, California. He was unalive in a hit and run on January 1st, 2016 in New Orleans. He worked as the director of customer strategy at Soylent and graduated from Harvard University in 2011. Early in the morning on New Year's Day 2016, the New Orleans Police Department made a gruesome discovery: a body along the highway between the Crescent City Connection Bridge and the exit to General de Gaulle Drive. There was no car or driver remaining at the scene to explain what happened. The details of the crime grew worse as the investigation progressed. Joshua was a tourist who was in New Orleans for the New Year's Eve party in the French Quarter. Joshua was walking with two friends. He called an Uber and the three walked down the street to find their ride. Joshua saw a car approaching, which he assumed was his Uber, so he told his friends he would flag down the car. Then the car pulled out and hit Joshua. He was attached to the undercarriage of the vehicle. People around heard the impact and heard Josh's body being dragged. The driver did not stop. He dragged him for 6 miles.
A driver hit 28-year-old Joshua Woodruff near New Year's Day near the French Quarter.
Then he dislodged his lifeless body by an exit.
Josh Woodruff grew up here in Omaha, graduated from Burke High School, and went on to Harvard. He was just here with his family, a big Christmas reunion before flying to New Orleans for New Year's.
You're a cookie jerky jockey and you drive a crooked horse.
But that life cut short just days later in New Orleans.
I cannot describe the depth of our grief.
Early New Year's Day, Josh was in a crosswalk near the French Quarter with friends looking for their Uber ride. That's when investigators say a different car, this black sedan seen on surveillance, hit Josh, dragging him more than 6 miles.
Another driver later seen the body and called the police. The official cause of unalive was blunt force trauma to the head.
While Josh's family is cherishing the last moments, last conversations.
Before the night begins, just wanted to say Happy New Year and that I'm so ridiculously thankful for you. Very much pumped to see what 2016 has.
They released multiple photos taken from security cameras in the area that showed a small black sedan. Even though there was a reward of $50,000 and multiple images of the car that was believed to have been involved in the case has still not been solved. It's been 9 years. The reward still stands, and if you have any information that could help the police solve this crime, call Crime Stoppers at 504-822-1111.
Serenity, baby girl, this May you will be turning 15 years old, and I have kept looking for you every day. It has been 5 years since we last saw you, since you walked away. I try and hold on to every last bit of hope.
On February 3rd, 2019, Serenity Denard, a then 9-year-old, ran away from the Black Hills Children's Home off Old Rockerville Road.
It was February 3rd, 2019, Super Bowl Sunday. Serenity Denard, then 9 years old, ran from the Black Hills Children's Home off Old Rockerville Road. The Pennington County Sheriff's Office says 2 witnesses saw her on the road, and despite what was likely the largest search ever in South Dakota, that was the last time Serenity was seen.
Well, it weighs on people to this day. I mean, you pour your heart and soul into trying to get the answers, and it's all about, we come to work every day, let's do the right thing, let's provide the answers to family in this unfortunate situation, and it still weighs on you. It's in your mind, on a daily basis or weekly basis, that we still haven't been able to provide that closure, and we hope to do so in the future.
The employees of the children's home waited 80 minutes to call 911 after she ran away in the middle of the winter without a coat. Investigators did not believe a stranger or a neighbor abducted her. The sheriff's office said 2 witnesses saw her on the road. That was the last time she was seen.
National Center for Missing and Exploited Children put out this age-progressed photo of what Serenity might look like at 13 years of age. Morrison said they haven't seen any evidence to indicate that she was abducted. They're still hoping for final answers.
Serenity was adopted by her mother, Darcy Gentry, who's 42, with her ex-husband Chad in 2014 after fostering Serenity for several months. Darcy is Serenity's legal adoptive mother, but Serenity did not live with her at the time of her disappearance. Police has searched the area over 200 times, more than over 5,000 miles. They've interviewed more than 500 people and followed over 357 leads. Investigators says that there was a woman and a girl in a car at the children's home at the time that saw Serenity ran away. They then drove up and down the road after a few minutes later without seeing her or anyone. Reporters say that several errors committed by the staff of the Black Hills Children's Home played a very important role in Serenity's disappearance. 2 employees were fired as a result. Her case is still open and active. Serenity turned 15 on May 12, 2024. She was never found, and what happened to her is still a mystery. If you have any information about Serenity or her disappearance, please call NCMEC at 1-800-843-5678 or the Pennington County Sheriff's Office at 1-605-394-6115. We hope and pray that the families and friends of Serenity get the closure that they deserve.
357 leads so far, including from foreign countries. Those leads still come in, and the case is still open. He said they're still working with other agencies, hoping to finally bring the case to a close.
I just hope that on your birthday I get to hug and kiss you in person.
Let her go. I am begging you to let her go. We want her home. Okay?
A Florida mom appeared on the People's Court, then vanished on the same day the episode aired. Michelle Parker was a 33-year-old mom devoted to her 3 children. She was last seen on November 17, 2011, dropping off her then 3-year-old twins at an Orlando condo where her ex-fiancé lived. The drop-off was hours after the former couple appeared on a recorded episode of The People's Court.
Next People's Court.
We were dating about 4 years.
A roller coaster romance.
He said that he wanted his ring. I threw it out.
Derails.
It seemed like a typical episode of The People's Court.
I felt somebody grab me and yank me around. He's crying, I'm crying, he's sorry, I'm sorry. We brushed it under the rug and I stayed with him for a few more months.
You're like drugs to each other. You're addicted to each other.
But after the show aired, it would become a family's real-life nightmare.
They fought about an engagement ring. Michelle was going to run some errands before going back to work, where she never arrived.
13 years ago, an Orlando mother disappeared after appearing on a reality TV series. To this day, Michelle Parker still has not been found.
Her Hummer was found the next day abandoned in a parking lot. Her cell phone was later found 3 weeks later nearby a lake.
Michelle Parker, a mother of 3, was last seen on November 17, 2011. 13 years later, her family continues to look for her.
Yesterday, 13 years ago, she was alive and well and had hopes and dreams.
Around 4:26 p.m. that day, Michelle's brother texted her asking, "Where was she?" And she replied saying, "Waterford." Waterford Lake is a neighborhood in Orlando. Her brother was convinced that it wasn't Michelle that sent the reply.
And it's just amazing how somebody can make a person disappear and get away with it.
Police say Parker disappeared right after a People's Court episode ran where she discussed a lost engagement ring. On that day, she went to drop off her twins at her ex-fiancé Dale Smith's house. And that was the last time anybody had heard from her.
At first, her fiancé was a suspect, but no arrest was made. The police obtained a red light camera, video showing what they believed to be Michelle's Hummer at 8:55 p.m., less than a mile from where her car was found.
Smith was named as a person of interest in this case, but no one has ever been arrested in connection to her disappearance.
The investors believe that Michelle's disappearance was a 2-person crime. August 2023, police searched her ex-fiancé's father's backyard and didn't find anything. Michelle's family was supportive of her ex-fiancé, but then publicly stated their belief of his involvement in her disappearance. While authorities named him as their prime suspect, he continued to maintain his innocence. To this day, no one knows what happened to Michelle. Her family does not believe for an instant that she would abandon her children. If anyone has any information about Michelle Laurie Parker, please contact the Orlando Police at 407-246-3975 or Crime Line at 800-423-8477. If you have any information that can give closure to her family and children, please don't hesitate to call.
I do what I can to, find her. Whatever part my God has put me in as a place in her life, I'm trying to follow through.
Let her go. I am begging you to let her go. We want her home. Okay?
If my daughter is watching this right now, I would say, I love you. And come back home to your mother safely and unharmed. And I love you. And when you do return back, and if you do return back unharmed, you will never, ever go with anybody else. You would be next to my side at all times.
Ralisha Rudd was an 8-year-old girl who went missing in Washington, D.C. in March of 2014 and has not been found. She was last seen on camera with a janitor at the D.C. General Family Shelter where she lived with her family. The janitor was a former felon that her mom befriended. Khalil Tatum was a 50-year-old janitor at the shelter and had a felony record for burglary, larceny, and breaking and entering. He was in prison from 1993 to 2003. He brought Ralisha a tablet and took her to see Disney on Ice. Eventually, Ralisha's mother allowed her to stay with the janitor overnight with his grandmother. Suddenly, Ralisha stopped attending school in February, but her mother provided a note saying that Ralisha was having health problems and was in care of a doctor named Dr. Tatum.
They say he's armed, that he's dangerous. He's wanted by the FBI. Khalil Tatum, wanted in connection with the murder of his wife. Wanted in the disappearance of 8-year-old Ralisha Rudd.
He bought my daughter a fish tank, but I stopped it there. No more gifts.
Sources tell News 4 Ralisha's mom had allowed Tatum to take Ralisha weeks ago.
The school contacted the janitor, who posed as Ralisha's doctor, but when he failed to show up for a meeting with them, a counselor contacted the police to report Ralisha's missing. The police of District of Columbia launched a missing person report on March 19, 2014, by which point Ralisha had not been in school for a month. Investigation revealed that the janitor and Ralisha had been caught on camera walking a hallway in a Holiday Inn Express in Northeast Washington, D.C. on February 26, and again on March 1st, showing her walking with the janitor to a room in a Days Inn on New York Ave in D.C. March 1st was the last proof that Ralisha was still alive.
My relationship with Ralisha, it was good. You know, it was like, even though she wasn't my biological child, it was like,
Bring her home! Bring her home! We can no longer turn a blind eye to this issue of missing people of color around the country. 40% of the missing population are Black and brown people.
Oh my God, your baby. How can you go to sleep?
Shamika told us that she was in Georgia with her teacher.
The family says Ralisha's mom always had a reason to explain why the girl wasn't around. Ralisha wasn't reported missing until Wednesday, when Payne Elementary School alerted police.
Tatum, the janitor's wife, was found shot in the head in a motel in Prince George's County, Maryland, on the same day Ralisha was reported missing, March 20th.
Remember, being called to a scene of a homicide in Prince George's County at a motel in mid-March of that year. And we were told by Prince George's County Police that there was a deceased woman inside there. And through the next days and weeks, we learned this astonishing story of the disappearance of this little 8-year-old girl, Ralisha Rudd.
Late this morning, a distraught man, seen here in a red jacket, identified himself to officers as Ralisha's father and spoke to them about what was going on.
so when everything hit the fan, that's when I found out that she was really missing. You know, like, it was just in disbelief.
Surveillance tape showed Andrea and Khalil Tatum entering the hotel room the night before. Tatum, the janitor, was last seen on March 2nd, the day after Ralisha was last seen, buying a shovel, lime, and 42 gallons of trash bags. The DC police obtained an arrest warrant for Tatum, the janitor, in his wife's murder, but on March 31st, his body was found in a shed, unalive. He committed suicide with the same gun used to unalive his wife.
The man wanted for kidnapping an 8-year-old girl and killing his wife is found dead. Police say Tatum killed himself in the same park where they've been searching for Relisha Rudd for the last 5 days.
To the girl's disappearance, this man, 51-year-old Khalil Tatum, the janitor at the homeless shelter, seen here walking down a hotel corridor with Relisha back on February 26 after police say Relisha's mother gave her daughter to Tatum.
He didn't look like that type of person. He looked like a good person. The way he played with everybody's kids, the way he did his job, it's all in the man's hands above
Tatum's
us.
neighbor tells News 4 he's seen the little girl at the apartment building.
I seen the little girl about 3 weeks ago. Yeah. She was coming out the apartment, in and out the apartment with him and this old lady. I haven't seen them since.
There was a number of theories in this case to what happened to Relisha. Authorities believe that she was either unalived by the janitor or that the janitor sexually exploited her and possibly pimping her to others. They believe that he may have unalived his wife due to her finding out about his activities. The FBI is offering a reward of $25,000 for any information leading to the location and return of missing Relisha Rudd. Contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. These are just a few unsolved cases that deserve our attention. Please stay aware of your surroundings and trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Let's keep these stories alive and share any information that you may have. Together we can help bring closure to those who need it. Comment down below and let me know what you feel about these unsolved mysteries. I would love to read them. Once again, this is Mona Reads. Thanks for watching.